Writing software looks like typing, but underneath the syntax, it is an endless, high-stakes sequence of choices. Every line commits the team to a path. We all feel it. You want to ship the feature, close the ticket, and move on. Stopping to write down why you chose a specific database pattern feels like slamming the brakes on your momentum. Making a quick, silent choice feels productive today, but skipping the documentation fractures the foundation. Fast, unrecorded decisions pile up into massive structural roadblocks tomorrow. Suddenly, an AI agent has committed you to a convoluted architecture without review. Scope expands silently, and 6 months from now, a new developer stares at a wall of logic, completely unable to decipher why it exists. A decision process serves as a defense mechanism for the product. It shields the architecture from random, unvetted flaws and ensures the team never has to maintain code they cannot explain. The challenge is the sheer volume. On any given Tuesday, a developer makes 50 different choices. Some of these are tiny. Should I extract this component? How to name this function? Use a library or build custom? Then there are the massive forks in the road. Are we building a monolith or breaking into separate services? Where does the core business logic live? How are we structuring the database? And the landscape is only getting more complex. Now we have to decide if a feature requires retrieval augmented generation, how memory is handled, and exactly where a human needs to step in and review an AI's output. These choices carry vastly different risks. If you force a developer to write a formal document for a minor UI tweak, you paralyze the team. We need a way to weigh the risk before applying the rules. This chart is the calibration matrix. Think of it as a mental filter to figure out exactly how much friction a decision actually requires. We map choices by how hard they are to reverse on the horizontal axis and how deeply they impact the overall system on the vertical axis. Down in the corner, we have Level 1, small local decisions. These are internal implementation details, like variable naming or minor UI spacing. Moving slightly up, we hit Level 2, task-level decisions. These affect a single ticket, such as deciding how to structure an API response or writing a test for a specific form. Here, the rules are simple. The developer decides. You do not need formal sign-off. A brief note in the ticket or a quick chat with a peer is all the documentation you need. The priority for Level 1 and 2 is velocity. If you make a mistake here, the blast radius is tiny, and fixing it takes minutes. The minimal oversight is worth the speed. But eventually, a choice spills outside the boundaries of a single task. This crosses the threshold into Level 3, feature-level decisions. You are defining data models, navigating out core feature flows, or establishing significant UX approaches. Here, you must stop, write a formal decision note, and debate it with a peer to align the team. At the extreme end sits Level 4, product and system decisions. These are the choices that dictate long-term survival, like overhauling authentication patterns, adapting new deployment strategies, or setting architectural boundaries. For these, the process is absolute. A formal decision document is mandatory. Lead or founder review is required. Every alternative must be mapped, and every risk meticulously recorded. For high-level choices, the illusion of fast coding is a trap. Slowing down today to get the architecture right saves you from a complete systemic rewrite a year down the road. To actually execute Level 3 and 4 choices, developers rely on a specific 7-step decision-making method. First, you clearly define what is being decided. Then you establish the context by identifying constraints, current risks, and who is affected. Finally, you list at least 2 distinct viable options. Step 4 is where the real work happens. You compare those options. You have to actively weigh speed against complexity, measure the UX impact against the cost, and gauge how well the stack supports future flexibility. Then you make the call. You state the choice clearly. You record exactly why it makes sense right now, and you document the immediate risks and what the team needs to monitor going forward. This entire process lives inside a single artifact, the development decision note. It captures the context, the options, the reasoning, and the trade-offs in one clean record. Think of this note as an insurance policy. A few hours spent writing it will save a future developer weeks of agonizing detective work trying to reverse engineer your thought process. There is a massive difference between an AI agent helping you write a utility function and one silently hallucinating your application's architecture. This brings us to the agent delegation boundary. Agents suggest, humans decide. The developer is required to provide the correct context, rigorously verify the reasoning, and ultimately own the final documentation. You enforce this boundary by prompting the AI correctly. Ask the agent to compare solutions based on team size, security, and development speed. Instruct it to provide trade-offs and identify blind spots, but explicitly tell it not to make the final choice. And there are hard escalation triggers. If a decision changes user permissions, alters data structure, expands the scope, or introduces new AI behaviors, the developer must stop and discuss it with a human peer. AI is incredible for accelerating your research, but accountability cannot be automated. The human developer owns the impact. So how does this look in practice? Every choice filters through this routing, ending in one of two practical outcomes. Either you just code, or you stop and write a decision note. If you are an individual contributor, use this framework to clarify your thinking. The 7-step method forces you to prove your logic. And if you are ever unsure where a choice falls, default to level 2 and grab a peer for a quick check. If you are a tech lead or founder, this is your primary defense line. Strictly enforce level 3 and 4 decision notes. It is the only reliable way to catch scope creep and over-engineering before they get merged into the codebase. Regardless of your role, watch out for the common traps. Do not copy patterns you don't understand, do not let agents dictate your backend silently, and resist the urge to optimize code before you even know if the feature works. When the whole team uses this matrix, you remove the anxiety of guessing. Everyone knows exactly when to run fast and exactly when to hit the brakes. Software development is a series of intentional acts. Quick logic is perfect for minor, local tasks, but choices that shape the system demand daylight. A brilliant, flawless decision that lives only inside one developer's head is ultimately a liability. An imperfect decision that is fully documented, shared, and understood is far more valuable. It gives the rest of the team a map. When requirements change or bugs surface, they aren't guessing at your intentions. They have the proof of why the system was built that way. Proper calibration builds software that is understandable, maintainable, and deeply trusted by the developers who inherit it.